Hey everyone, welcome back to Mindful English. I'm Sarah, and I'm sitting here in the studio with Liam.
Hey guys. Sarah, how was your weekend? Did you get any downtime?
I actually did. I finally made it to the theater and watched The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, nice. How was it?
So much fun. The fashion is just spectacular. Every time a character walks onto the screen, you're completely mesmerized by how they look and how they carry themselves. But, sitting in the theater, it really got me thinking about our podcast.
How so?
Well, we have spent so many episodes talking about the inside. We talk about how to describe your emotions, how to explain your personality, and how to navigate your mindset. But watching that movie made me realize that we never really talk about the outside. Knowing how to describe someone's physical appearance or their style in a natural, respectful way is just as important as knowing how to describe their personality.
That is such a fantastic point. We interact with the physical world first. When you're telling a friend about someone you just met or describing a new coworker, you have to paint a physical picture of them. And most people only ever learn the extreme basics like tall or short.
Which can sound so blunt. If someone is neither super tall nor super short, you don't really know what to say. It just leaves a gap in the conversation. Today, we're going to fill that gap. Let's get into it.
Let's start with the foundation of someone's physical presence, their height and their overall frame. If someone isn't extremely tall or extremely short, what's your go-to phrase?
If they're right in the middle, I usually say they're of average height. It's completely neutral and sets a very clear baseline. He's of average height.
Right. But what if they're just a little bit short? I always feel awkward just bluntly saying she's short. It feels harsh, almost like a judgment rather than a description.
I soften it. Instead of saying someone is short, I say she's on the shorter side. Or, if they're tall, on the taller side. That phrase makes it feel so much more conversational and polite.
And once you establish height, you naturally move to the frame. If someone has a very narrow, delicate, elegant frame, we say they have a slender build. It sounds so graceful, almost like you're describing a dancer.
But what if they clearly work out? If someone goes to the gym or they're a runner, they might have a strong, tight frame without too much bulk. We'd say they're lean and athletic. It implies they're strong and capable, but their muscles are very compact.
Now, if you're describing a woman who is short and has a very small, delicate bone structure, there's a very classic word for that. You'd say she has a petite frame. It implies that everything is small and perfectly proportioned.
And on the flip side, if you're describing a guy who is very tall, but his arms and legs are very long and thin, you might affectionately call him lanky. It implies a sort of loose, tall, slightly awkward, but very endearing frame. It reminds me of teenagers who just hit a massive growth spurt.
That's exactly the visual. But obviously, humanity comes in all shapes and sizes, and that variety is a beautiful thing. We don't just want to talk about thin or slender frames. If a man has a larger, solid frame, if he's naturally wide at the top, we just say he has broad shoulders.
Broad shoulders always project this incredible sense of stability and strength. And if he's built incredibly solid, thick and heavy and grounded, we might say he has a stocky build. He might not be the tallest guy in the room, but he takes up space in a very powerful way.
And for women, if someone has a fuller figure with a very defined, beautiful shape, the best and most celebratory word is curvy. It completely reclaims the narrative around having a fuller body.
It really does. But what if someone isn't a bodybuilder and they aren't super slender? What if they just have a very normal, comfortable body with a bit more softness to it? We need to know how to describe that politely.
If you want to describe someone's frame in a gentle, completely neutral way, You might casually say they're carrying a little extra weight. It just states a physical reality without assigning any judgment or shame to it. You're noticing their reality, but you aren't defining their worth by it.
So we have the frame covered. Let's move up to hair. Because hair is pure self-expression. It tells you so much about a person before they even speak a single word.
And the vocabulary for hair color in English goes way beyond just blonde, brown, and black. It's a whole spectrum.
Let's start with blondes, because there are so many different shades. At the lightest end, you have platinum blonde, almost pure white, no yellow left at all. Very bold, very intentional, very high fashion. Then, a shade darker, you have dirty blonde, which sounds like a negative thing, but it's actually one of the most requested colors at salons. It's that natural, effortless, ashy blonde with a hint of brown mixed in. And then, if that blonde has a subtle touch of red or orange to it, especially in the sunlight, that's strawberry blonde.
Strawberry blonde is such a poetic way to describe a color. And moving into the deeper shades, if someone has a rich, dark red, almost like autumn leaves or dark wood, that's auburn. And the elegant term for someone with dark brown hair overall is just brunette. She's a brunette sounds so much more sophisticated than she has brown hair.
It really does. And hair isn't just about color. The cut and the texture completely change the vibe. If a woman cuts her hair so it just brushes her collarbone, we call that a shoulder-length haircut. Very classic.
And what about you, Sarah? You have a very distinct style yourself.
I do. I used to mess around with different lengths and styles, but I finally realized I feel most myself with a short, dark bob. It just frames my face perfectly and feels very grounded.
It suits you perfectly. And then there's the texture. You can have hair that's perfectly straight or wavy hair, which always gives off a very relaxed, beachy, effortless vibe.
And I personally love it when people embrace their natural volume, especially if they have really tight curls. Having tight curls gives a person so much incredible personality and presence.
It really does. But we also have to talk about how hair changes as we get older, because that's a huge part of how we describe people, especially for men. A very common transition is a receding hairline, where the hair starts moving further back on the forehead.
A lot of guys try to hide a receding hairline by wearing hats all the time, but honestly, I think it looks so much better when they just own it.
Confidence is everything. And what about when someone's dark hair starts getting scattered with silver and gray? We don't just call it gray, we say they have salt and pepper hair.
Salt and pepper hair. I think it's one of the most dignified descriptions in English. It shows that you've lived, you've gained experience, and you're comfortable with the passage of time.
Okay, so we have the build and the hair. Let's move to the face. When we describe skin tone, we use a very gentle spectrum. If someone has very light, pale skin, we say they have a fair complexion.
And if they spend a weekend outside and get a little bit of healthy color from the sun, we say they have sun-kissed skin. It sounds so much more poetic and natural than just saying someone got a tan.
And regardless of skin color, if someone is really healthy, drinking plenty of water, and taking care of themselves, their skin just looks incredible. We say they have a glowing complexion. It looks like they're radiating light from the inside out.
And right in the middle of that face are the eyes. We all know blue and brown, but there's a very specific color that sits right between green, brown, and gold.
Hazel eyes. Hazel eyes are absolutely mesmerizing because they seem to literally change color depending on the lighting or what the person is wearing.
They really do. And if someone has bright, intense eyes that seem to look right through you, we say they have piercing eyes. Piercing eyes can be a little intimidating, but you definitely won't forget them.
Now, what about the nose? People are so obsessed with having a tiny, perfect button nose. Very small, round, and cute.
But I personally think unconventional features are so much more interesting. If someone has a bump in their nose, or if it's slightly bent, we call it a crooked nose. And a crooked nose gives a face so much incredible character. It tells a story.
Perfection is boring. The little imperfections are what make a face memorable and human. And it all sits on the structure of the face. One of my absolute favorites is the heart-shaped face. Slightly wider at the top and coming down to a delicate, pointed chin.
So classic. And if someone just projects warmth, if they look kind and easy to talk to regardless of their specific features, we say they have a very approachable face. You could ask them for directions on the street and know they'd be nice to you.
But if their face doesn't fit traditional beauty standards, yet it completely commands your attention and you cannot look away, we say they have striking features. It means their presence is undeniable.
And Liam, all of these physical traits, the frame, the hair, the face, they're the canvas. But style is what you put on the canvas, which brings us right back to The Devil Wears Prada.
The clothes. When those characters go to a big gala event in the movie, they aren't just wearing nice clothes. They're dressed to the nines.
Dressed to the nines means wearing your absolute best, most formal, flawless outfit. Every single detail, from the shoes to the jewelry, is considered.
But in everyday life, we aren't going to galas. When you want to look professional, neat, and organized for a normal Tuesday at the office, the goal is just to look put together. It means your clothes are clean, they fit well, and you look like you have your life under control.
And the absolute highest level of being put together is when you make it look incredibly easy. We call that being effortlessly chic, which is so funny because looking effortless usually takes an hour of careful planning in front of the mirror.
It really does. It's the ultimate art of looking like you don't care while actually caring very deeply. But honestly, I think personal style is at its best when it just reflects who you truly are.
I completely agree. I used to worry so much about trends and looking perfectly chic, but now my favorite thing to wear is just a simple, comfortable hoodie or a classic sweater. When I pair it with my short, dark bob, I just feel completely like myself.
And that's the whole point. Because the most attractive thing a person can wear has absolutely nothing to do with expensive fabric or high fashion.
What is it?
It's how they carry it all. You can be dressed to the nines, but if you're incredibly insecure, it shows. The ultimate goal of all of this, whether you have a stocky build or a receding hairline or a crooked nose, or if you're just wearing a simple sweater, is to finally be comfortable in your own skin.
Comfortable in your own skin. That is the absolute finish line of personal growth.
When you accept your frame, when you embrace your natural features, you project this massive, quiet confidence. You stop worrying about fitting a perfect mold, and you just exist as a grounded person.
And that kind of peace is the most beautiful thing anyone could ever wear. All right, before we officially close out, it's time for our mindful review. We threw around a lot of very descriptive visual phrases today. Let's pull out a few that you might actually want to use this week. Liam, what's one line from today that someone could easily use tomorrow?
I really liked the gentle way we talked about someone's height. The phrase was, "She's on the shorter side." You might be at a cafe waiting for a friend of a friend, and they text you asking how to spot the person. You wouldn't just bluntly say, "She's short." You'd gently say, "Look for a woman in a green coat. She has dark hair, and she's on the shorter side."
Or if you're helping a delivery driver find your coworker, you might say, "You're looking for David. He wears glasses, and he's on the taller side." Adding On the side just softens the description and makes it sound so much more natural.
My second pick is salt and pepper hair. You might be telling your partner about a new manager at work. You could set the scene by saying, "The new director is great. He has salt and pepper hair, and he just seems very calm and experienced."
Or you could use it for yourself. If you're looking in the mirror and noticing those silver strands coming in, you might text your friend, "Well, it's finally happening. I'm officially moving into my salt and pepper hair era."
Such a natural, positive way to talk about aging. And your pick, Sarah?
Mine is, "You look really put together today." If you walk into the office and your colleague is wearing a really sharp blazer instead of their usual sweater, you can just smile and say, "Wow, you look really put together today. Do you have a big meeting?"
Or you could use it as a personal check-in. You might have had a terrible, chaotic morning, but you finally managed to comb your hair, put on a clean shirt, and grab your coffee. You look in the mirror and tell yourself, "Okay, I feel a bit more put together now."
It just implies that you've successfully organized yourself and you're ready for the day.
So which one of these fits your life today? Are you gently describing a friend by saying they're on the shorter side? Are you embracing those silver strands and thinking about your salt and pepper hair era? Or are you fixing your collar, taking a deep breath, and thinking, "Okay, I finally feel put together"?
Whichever one feels true, try saying it out loud tomorrow. Notice how it feels to borrow that language and apply it to your own life. And we would really love to hear from you. When you look in the mirror, what is the one physical feature you're finally learning to embrace and be proud of? Is it your natural hair, your laugh lines, or maybe the way you carry yourself? Tell us in the comments. If you're comfortable, share a short reflection on your own journey to feeling comfortable in your own skin. You're definitely not alone in that process.
We read every single comment and they always inspire us. And if you want more expressions like today's, our previous episodes are full of them. Everything from today is also in the pinned comment.
Share this one with someone who needs a little more vocabulary to describe the world around them. Have a wonderful week, be gentle with your reflection, and we will see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Isn't this view incredible?
Yes, the sunset is magical. I could ride this train forever.